Rain poured from the sky like it was never going to stop. Ethan's jacket was already soaked. Cold water ran down his neck and into his shirt. The thick forest around him was dark, full of strange sounds and glowing plants. He had been traveling, alone for days on this alien planet. He checked his map device. The nearest outpost was still hours away. "I need shelter," he muttered. Then he saw it, half hidden by vines and large rocks, a small cave entrance. It looked old, maybe unused. He rushed toward it, slipping once on the wet mud. His boots were heavy and every step felt like dragging weights. Ethan pulled the vines aside and stepped inside. It was dark but dry. The wind howled outside. Rain hit the ground hard, but inside the cave there was peace. He set his backpack down and sighed with relief. Finally. But then something made him stop. A sound. It was quiet. But not just the wind, not rocks falling, it was breathing, shaky, weak, afraid. Ethan turned slowly. He reached for the small flashlight on his belt and clicked it on. The beam of light moved across the cave wall until it landed on two shapes. His eyes widened. A woman and a child. Not human. The mother had pale silver blue skin, long black hair stuck to her face. Her eyes were wide and glowing faintly, like stars in the dark. Her clothes were torn, dirty, and her arms wrapped tightly around the small figure beside her. The child looked no older than 5, with thin arms and large golden eyes. The little one hid its face in the mother's side. They both looked scared and hungry. Ethan raised his hand slowly. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The mother flinched, holding her child tighter. "I was just trying to get out of the rain," Ethan said softly. No answer. The cave felt colder suddenly. He stepped back, giving them space. "I'll sit over here, not coming close." He moved to the wall opposite them and sat down. He tried not to stare, but his heart was racing. What were they doing here? Why were they hiding? Ethan took out a small ration bar and some water from his pack. He opened the bar and placed it gently on the ground between them. "Food," he said. "You look like you need it more than I do." No response. Then, after a long pause, the child moved. Slowly, they reached out and grabbed the bar. They didn't eat it right away. They looked at the mother. She nodded weakly. The child broke the bar in half, offering the bigger half to the mother. Ethan watched in silence. They ate like they hadn't eaten in days. He pulled out a second bar and slid it across the floor. The mother's hands were shaking. As she picked it up, Ethan saw bruises on her arms, burn marks, old and new. His stomach turned. Someone had hurt them badly. He didn't ask questions yet. He just waited. After some time, the mother spoke, barely a whisper. "You are human?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, my name's Ethan." She didn't give her name. She just looked at him with tired, sad eyes. "You should go." "Why?" "They will come back." Ethan felt a chill. "Who?" She closed her eyes. "The ones who did this to us." He didn't say anything, just sat there listening. After a while, the child fell asleep in her arms. The mother's head dropped against the wall. She was barely holding on. Ethan pulled his emergency blanket from his pack. He moved slowly, carefully, and placed it near them. Then he sat again, back to the wall. He watched them for hours. The rain didn't stop, and he couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Who would do this to a mother and child? And were they really coming back? The cave was still dark when Ethan opened his eyes. The rain had stopped, but the air outside still smelled wet and cold. Inside, the silence was heavy, like the cave was holding its breath. He turned his head, slowly. They were still there. The alien mother and her child, huddled together under the emergency blanket he had given them. The child's tiny hand gripped her sleeve even in sleep. The mother looked pale, weaker than before. Ethan stood up quietly. He didn't want to scare them. He checked his pack. 2 food bars left, some water and a small heating stone. Not much, but enough for now. He placed the stone near them and tapped it. It started to glow softly, warming the cold air. The warmth stirred the mother awake. She opened her eyes fast, panic flashing for a moment, then faded when she saw him. "You stayed," she whispered. "Yes," Ethan said. "You were hurt. I wasn't going to leave." She looked at her child, then back at him. "You shouldn't have stayed. You don't understand who is hunting us." "Then tell me," he said. "Help me understand." She was silent for a long time. Then finally, she spoke. "They wore clean uniforms, shiny armor, faces covered, but their hearts, they were empty." Ethan sat down, listening carefully. "We were taken from our home," she said. "They told us we were being moved to a safer colony. But it was a lie. They separated families, took the strong ones, killed the weak. I only escaped because I pretended to be dead. My child hid under bodies." Ethan's hands curled into fists. "That's when we ran," she whispered. "We've been running for days, hiding in forests, sleeping under rocks. My child hasn't eaten properly in a week." Ethan felt like someone had punched him in the chest. "They weren't monsters," she said, her voice trembling. "They looked like soldiers, peacekeepers, but they hunted us like animals." "Who are they?" Ethan asked. "They call themselves the Unity Order," she replied bitterly. "But there is no unity, only control." Ethan had heard whispers about the Unity Order, rumors of colonies wiped out, of disappearances. But this was real. Flesh and blood. "You said they might come back," he said. "Do they know you're here?" She shook her head. "I don't think so. We moved. At night. I made sure to leave no scent trail, but if they scanned the area..." She didn't finish the sentence. Ethan looked outside the cave. The forest looked calm, but something about the quiet didn't feel safe. "We need to move," he said. "When you're ready," she gave a weak smile. "You are brave for a human." "I'm just angry," he replied. "No one deserves what you've been through." The child stirred, opening tired golden eyes. The little one looked up at Ethan, then at the food he held out. They took it slowly this time, more awake now. "What's their name?" Ethan asked, the Yao. Mother hesitated. "Rayleigh." "Rayleigh," Ethan repeated gently. "You're safe now." The child gave a small nod. Then a sharp sound echoed in the distance, like a metal wing slicing air. Ethan stood up fast. "Stay here." He stepped outside the cave, crouching low. In the sky, far away but moving fast, a black drone zipped through the clouds. Ethan's heart raced. They had to go. Now. He turned back inside. "We don't have time." The mother nodded. She tried to stand but stumbled. Ethan caught her. "Let me carry the child," he said. She hesitated, then nodded. Rayleigh climbed into Ethan's arms quietly. They left the cave together. As they disappeared into the wet forest, Ethan made one silent promise: if the ones who hurt them came back, they would not leave the cave alive. Ethan moved through the forest with fast but careful steps. The wet ground squished beneath his boots. Tree branches slapped against his arms. In his arms, Rayleigh, the small alien child, held tightly to his jacket, silent, scared, but trusting. Behind him, the alien mother walked with slow, uneven steps. She was hurt. Her ankle was swollen, her body weak from days without rest or food. But her eyes were sharp, watching every shadow, listening to every noise. Ethan stopped and looked back. "Are you okay?" She nodded, but her breathing was heavy. "We need to find cover soon," he said. "The drone might have marked the cave." "I know," she said quietly. "That's how they find runaways. Drones don't shoot, they tag. Then the hunters come." Ethan had a weapon, a small energy pistol, not military grade, just enough to scare off wild animals, but now it felt like a toy. As they moved, the rain began again, light at first, then harder. Good and bad, Ethan thought. Rain would wash away their tracks. But it also made it harder to hear, and easier for someone to sneak up on them. They came to a narrow stream, muddy and fast. Ethan helped the mother. Across first, then carried Rayleigh, but something caught his eye. On the other side in the mud, a footprint. Fresh, not theirs. Too wide for a human. Keep moving, he whispered. They walked faster now. The trees grew thicker. Strange, glowing bugs danced in the air. Alien plants stretched toward them like curious fingers. The mother suddenly stopped. Ethan turned. What is it? She pointed to the trees. Symbols, carved into the bark. Not letters. Marks, 3 long slashes with a circle beneath them. What does it mean? Ethan asked. She looked around, panic in her eyes. Territory marker. Unity Order Scouts. Ethan's grip on Rayleigh tightened. Suddenly a low growl echoed through the forest. Not a machine, an animal. Then another sound. Click. It was soft, but it wasn't natural. A trigger being tested. Ethan turned fast, pistol raised. From behind a tree, a shape stepped out. Tall, armored. A visor over its face, gun in hand. Black armor with the Unity Order's logo on the chest. Run, Ethan shouted. The mother grabbed Rayleigh from his arms and they sprinted together into the forest. The soldier fired once. A blue beam hit a tree beside Ethan's head, burning through the bark. They ran. Branches tore at them. The ground slipped. Under their feet, they didn't stop. More clicks, more footsteps behind them, then a cry, soft and short. The mother had fallen. Ethan turned back. She was holding Rayleigh, her leg bleeding now. The soldier was getting closer. Ethan stepped in front of them, gun raised, hands shaking. Don't come any closer. The soldier didn't stop. Ethan fired, a weak shot, hit the shoulder. Armor sparked, but the soldier kept coming. Ethan fired again. This time the soldier staggered. Then something happened. A howl tore through the forest. Not human, not machine. From the shadows, something massive leapt, claws, teeth, 4 eyes glowing red. It landed on the soldier, ripping through the armor like paper. The forest went quiet. The beast looked at Ethan, then at the mother and child, and walked away. The mother whispered, "Forest guardian, they don't attack the hunted, only the hunters." Ethan couldn't believe what he saw. The Unity Order didn't control everything, not here. "We have to keep going," he said. She nodded, weak but determined. Ethan helped her stand, holding Rayleigh again. As they disappeared deeper into the forest, the rain washed away the blood. No trail, no scent. Only the trees remembered. The rain faded into mist as Ethan led them deeper into the forest. The strange sounds of alien birds echoed above, but nothing chased them now. Not yet. The alien mother limped badly, blood soaked through a tear in her leg. She leaned on Ethan, her other arm cradling Rayleigh close. They needed a place to hide. Rest, heal. That's when she whispered, "There's a place. I don't know if it's still safe." "Where?" Ethan asked. She looked up at a massive tree ahead, twisted, wide, its roots thick like snakes frozen in place. "There." They reached the base of the tree. Moss covered the roots. It looked like any other tree except for the markings. Strange symbols carved into the bark, almost glowing. The mother placed her hand on one of the roots. It lit up faintly beneath her fingers. Then the earth rumbled. A section of roots shifted, revealing a hidden hatch. Ethan stared. "What is this?" "Old rebel shelter," she said, her voice soft. "From before the Unity Order took control. My people called it the cradle." They climbed down into darkness. Inside, the air was dry, cold. The walls were smooth and metallic, not made by nature. This was old alien technology. The hatch closed above them, sealing them in. Lights flickered on, dim blue ones lining the hallway. The place looked untouched for years. Ethan helped her lie down on a low metal bench. He set Rayleigh next to her and looked around. "Does it still work?" he asked. The mother pointed to a glowing panel. "There. Try to activate healing mode." Ethan touched it. The console buzzed, then displayed alien symbols. He couldn't read it, but the colors changed from red to green. A quiet hum began. From the ceiling, a mist sprayed over her wound. She exhaled sharply. "Nanagel, it will help." Ethan watched as the bleeding slowed. The skin around the injury stopped swelling. Then the lights flickered again. A voice spoke from the walls. Not in English. Not in her language either. It repeated once, twice. Then silence. "What did it say?" Ethan asked. The mother's face was pale. "It said the safe house is compromised." He froze. "They found us." "Not yet. But a scan pinged this place. They'll send a drone to confirm." Ethan looked at the child. Rayleigh was curled up now, clutching a small stuffed object, a torn piece of cloth that looked like it had once belonged to a doll. "We have maybe 1 hour," she said. "But there's something you need to see." She pointed toward a locked door at the back of the shelter. "Behind that," she said, "is something they want." Ethan stepped closer. "What is it?" She hesitated. "Before the order destroyed our world, I was a signal technician. My team discovered a human transmission buried deep in alien space." "A human signal?" "Yes. Very old. Very far, but clear it was calling for help." Ethan blinked. "From where?" "We never found out, but we tracked it to a missing Terran ship lost over 100 years ago." "And you saved the data?" She nodded. "That's why they want me. Not just because I escaped, but because I carry a piece of knowledge they fear." She looked at him carefully. "I hid it in my child." Ethan's eyes widened. "What?" "Rayleigh has a data chip implanted. It's protected, but if the order finds it..." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Ethan understood. They weren't just running from death. They were carrying a secret that could change everything. He stepped back and looked at the locked door. "Can I open it?" She nodded. "Your fingerprint is human. The system might respond." He placed his hand on the panel. It buzzed, scanned. Then with a low clunk, the door opened. Inside was a glowing sphere floating above a pedestal, pulsing slowly. Alive. It showed a star map and a red blinking point, deep in uncharted space. Ethan stared. "That's where the signal came from," she said. Ethan felt a chill. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about something lost, something calling for help across time. And now, the hunters were closing in again. The room glowed with the soft hum of forgotten technology. Ethan stared at the floating sphere, its pulsing red light beating like a heart in space. The star map. Around it spun slowly, stars and planets blinking into view, then fading. At the very edge of the galaxy, far beyond any known route, one point blinked steadily. "This is where the signal came from?" he asked. The alien mother nodded, her voice faint. "Yes, a ghost signal. Human words. From a place no ship should be." Ethan stepped closer. The sphere reacted, zooming in. The red dot became a small system, 1 sun, 2 frozen planets, and an asteroid belt. There was no record of any human colony that far, she said. But the message was clear. Human vessel. We are alive. Need help. Do not trust Earth. Ethan turned sharply. "What?" The words hit like ice. "Do not trust Earth?" She looked down. "We didn't understand it either. But the order, they did. As soon as we decoded part of the message, they erased the lab. Everyone. Only I escaped with the raw data." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "So that's why they're hunting you?" She nodded. "They don't want anyone asking questions. They don't want humans knowing a piece of their past is still alive, hidden, and warning them." Ethan looked at the sphere again. "That means someone out there knows something the Order fears." Before she could answer, the shelter lights flickered red. Warning. Perimeter breach. Unauthorized scan detected. The voice echoed through the chamber. "They're here," she whispered. Ethan grabbed his pistol, though it felt useless now. "Is there another way out?" "There's a tunnel," she said quickly. "Leads to the surface, but it's dangerous. I think staying here is worse." She reached for Rayleigh, but Ethan had already scooped the child into his arms. "I'll lead the way," he said. She pressed a panel on the wall. A section of the metal shifted, revealing a tight passageway behind it. As they entered the tunnel, the shelter door behind them sealed shut. They could hear the heavy clang of boots landing on the floor above. Too late. But not caught. Not yet. The tunnel was narrow, damp, and sloped upward. Roots broke through the ceiling. It was clear no one had walked here in years. "We're being followed," the mother said, panting. "How can you tell?" "Because I used to be one of them," she said softly. "Before I saw the truth." Ethan didn't ask more. At the top of the tunnel, they reached a dead end, a wall of roots and stone. "This is it," she said. "We push together." Ethan placed Rayleigh down carefully, then shoved against the wall with her. It groaned, then shifted. Bright light flooded in. They spilled out into open air, high on a rocky ridge overlooking the forest below. But they weren't alone. Above them, a black transport ship hovered. Its engines screamed like demons. A spotlight locked on them. Ethan raised his pistol out of instinct, shielding the child. A voice boomed from above. "Surrender the fugitive, or be destroyed." The mother stepped forward, shoulders shaking. "I have something they want," she said to Ethan. "I'll distract them. You take Rayleigh. You run." "No," Ethan growled. "We do this together." But she turned and placed something in his hand, a small silver cube. "This holds the full message, the true one." "What about Rayleigh?" he asked. "Protect her," she said. "She's more than just my child. She is proof that humanity's enemies fear your truth." Then she stepped forward into the light. Ethan screamed, "Wait!" But she raised her arms and shouted, "I surrender!" The beam pulled her up. Ethan backed into the trees, holding Rayleigh tightly. They disappeared into the forest as the engines roared. And as the ship vanished into the sky, Ethan knew this wasn't the end. The war for truth had just begun. The forest was quiet again, but not peaceful. Ethan ran beneath the dripping trees, holding Rayleigh close to his chest. Her small arms clung to his neck. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just trembled. Above them, the sky remained cloudy, but the black ship was gone. And so was her mother. Ethan didn't stop. Not until they reached a deep grove far from the path, surrounded by strange glowing stones. There, hidden under vines and ancient wood, was an old outpost, a forgotten emergency shelter for traders. He kicked open the weak door and stepped inside. The smell of dust and age hit him, but it was dry. Safe, for now. He set Rayleigh down gently on an old cot. "You're safe here," he whispered. She stared at him with her big golden eyes, confused, scared, but still quiet. Then Ethan pulled out the object the mother had given him, a small silver cube no larger than his palm. Its surface was smooth, but as he held it, it pulsed with a warm blue light. "Let's see what you're hiding," he muttered. He placed it on the old table and pressed the center. The cube clicked. A soft hum began. Then, light. A hologram opened in the air. Not just words. A face. It was human. A woman in a torn Earth military uniform with blood on her cheek and panic in her eyes. "This is Captain Ilara Mason of the Terran scout ship Andromeda. If anyone hears this, we are alive. We're stranded in Sector 9X, coordinates embedded. We found something out here. Something the Unity Order never wanted us to see." The message crackled. Static buzzed. Then it returned. "They told you we died in a navigation failure. It was a lie. Earth knew. The Order knew. We discovered the truth behind the Unity's founding, why they fear humans, why they erased our ship. Ethan leaned closer, heart pounding. We found a vault, not built by us, not by the Order either, ancient, full of data, full of proof that humanity was never meant to kneel. We were designed to lead. She paused, her voice shaking. If you're watching this, you must get the child to safety. The Order will stop at nothing to destroy her. She carries the access key, in her DNA. Ethan's breath caught. He looked at Rayleigh. She's not just the mother's child, he whispered. She's the key. The message wasn't finished. There's one last thing, Alara said. There is a name, buried in the vault. One that can break the Order's command code. A name that only Earth's first colonies knew. It's Crackle. The hologram fizzed. The cube blinked violently. Then darkness. No, come back. Ethan hit the cube, but it was done. Burned out. The message was damaged, but the meaning was clear. Humanity had been lied to. The Unity Order had rewritten history, and Rayleigh's very blood held the power to unlock something ancient, something that could shift power in the galaxy. Ethan sat in silence for a moment. Then he stood. He checked the outpost map display. Most of the nearby relays were inactive, but one remained, a hidden trader relay deep in the mountains. If I can reach that, he said aloud, I can send the data to someone who still believes in the truth. He turned back to Rayleigh. I'm going to protect you no matter what it takes. The girl blinked. Then, for the first time, she spoke. Her voice was small, soft, but clear. Thank you, Ethan. He froze. You talk? She nodded. My mother told me to wait until I knew you were good. His throat tightened. You think I'm good? She reached out and held his hand. You stayed. Ethan smiled for the first time in days. But the moment didn't last. A low tone buzzed in the corner of the shelter. Someone had found their heat trail. They're close, Ethan whispered. He picked her up, grabbed the cube, and stepped into the storm. There was only one path left. Find the relay, send the truth, and make sure the galaxy hears the voice that was buried. The wind howled across the mountaintop as Ethan climbed the final slope. His arms were tired. His legs ached. His breath came out in sharp gasps. But he didn't stop. Rayleigh was strapped to his back, her arms wrapped tightly around his shoulders. She said nothing now. She didn't need to. They both knew. This was their last chance. Above them, hidden behind rocks and snow, was an old communications relay. A trader's emergency uplink, almost forgotten. If it still worked, it could broadcast the message stored in the cube. The truth that could shake the galaxy. The truth the Unity Order was trying to erase. As they reached the peak, Ethan dropped to his knees. The relay tower stood crooked, half buried by time, but its core light still blinked, dim, weak, but alive. It's still here, he said, smiling through the pain. He pulled the cube from his jacket and approached the console at the base of the tower. Cold wind cut across his face. A storm was rolling in behind them, but they had no more time to wait. He plugged the cube into the console. Nothing happened. He frowned and hit the side of the console. Still nothing. Then Rayleigh stepped forward. She touched the cube. The lights changed. A low tone rang out. Recognizing her genetic signature, the console buzzed. Lights blinked green. Then a voice. DNA match confirmed. Broadcasting unlocked. Ethan smiled, but it didn't last. A loud sound echoed through the valley. Engines. He turned and saw it. A black Unity dropship rising from the clouds below. It moved fast, heading straight for the peak. They followed us, he said. Rayleigh looked up at him. I'm not afraid. He knelt beside her. You're braver than most grown men. Then he stood, turned to the console, and began the broadcast. The hologram of Captain Alara Mason appeared again. Her voice echoed across the mountains, beamed to every known relay in the sector. This is Captain Alara Mason of the Terran scout ship Andromeda. If you're receiving this message, Humanity has been lied to. The signal was live, but the ship was close now. Ethan turned to Rayleigh. Stay behind the console, no matter what happens. She nodded. He took his pistol in both hands and stood tall on the edge of the peak. The ship landed hard on the rocks. Its doors opened. 4 soldiers stepped out. Black armor, glowing visors, rifles raised. Their leader stepped forward. Tall, cold, voice flat. You are in possession of forbidden data. Turn over the child in the cube. Ethan didn't move. You're too late, he said. The message is already broadcasting. The soldier raised his weapon. Then you die with it. Ethan fired first. His shot hit the soldier's shoulder, but the armor held. The soldiers returned fire. He ducked behind a rock, breathing hard. One shot grazed his arm. He gritted his teeth and fired again. The snow exploded around him. Then, movement. One of the soldiers tried to flank him, but Rayleigh stepped out from behind the console. She held up her hand, and the cube glowed. A sudden shockwave burst from the tower, knocking 2 soldiers off their feet. The leader turned toward her, shocked. How? Ethan saw the opening. He ran forward and tackled the soldier from behind, knocking his weapon away. They fought hard, rolling in the snow, fists landing heavy blows. The leader punched Ethan in the ribs, hard. But Ethan grabbed a sharp piece of metal and stabbed it into the soldier's armor joint. The soldier screamed and collapsed. The others hesitated. Then something strange happened. Above them, in the sky, multiple ships appeared, but not from the Unity Order. Civilian vessels, old Terran ships, rebel crafts, merchant cruisers, all receiving the message, all answering the call. One ship beamed a reply across the comms. We hear you, Andromeda. We hear you, Rayleigh. We're coming. Ethan dropped to his knees. The broadcast had worked. The truth had gone out. But he was bleeding now. Weak. Exhausted. Rayleigh ran to him. You did it. He smiled faintly. No. We did it. In the sky, Unity ships began to retreat. They knew the damage was done. The lie was broken. The galaxy would not forget. Epilogue. The voice of the forgotten weeks later, Rayleigh stood on a platform, holding Ethan's hand. Around them, humans and aliens listened in silence. On the giant screen above, the final recording played one more time. Elara Mason's words. They told you we died, but we lived. We carried the truth. And now you carry it too. The crowd erupted in cheers. Ethan looked down at Rayleigh. You okay? She nodded. They believe now. Yes, he said softly, because of you. The order was falling. A new alliance was rising, and somewhere in deep space the ship Andromeda waited to be found. But the real journey had already begun, because one man took shelter in a cave and found a child with the power to change everything.